Hi everyone, and welcome to today's penultimate session at Pearson's first ever Maths Festival. My name is Saira Ahmed and I am the Senior Qualifications Manager for GCSE Maths. We are all very excited to have you. Today, I have myself, Nicola Woodford-Smith, Ways, our GCSE subject partner, Mark Heslop, our A-level subject partner, who have both recently left the classroom, and they have many years of teaching maths experience, both at head of department level and senior leadership level. So we're very excited to have them join us today in my session. We shall be recording today's session so that you're able to extract various links to the support we will share with you at your leisure. Please do send us any questions in the Q&A box or in the chat box. And if we're not able to answer anything, we'll make sure we follow up with you after today's session. Our mission is to make learning accessible to all and to support our learners, our teachers, and our community along this journey. Maths teachers across the UK have told us they're navigating the impact of COVID-19 on education by focusing on building students' knowledge, their skills, and their confidence and readiness for their next steps. As each learning journey is so different and unique, we offer a really wide range of maths resources and support you can use at every stage. We have differentiated schemes of work, we have targeted practice papers, mock sets, and a bank of resources on the Maths Emporium. So there's plenty to help support your students to make progress at their pace and in the ways that work best for them. So today's session will be an interactive session, so be ready to get involved by sending us any comments or any questions that you have in the chat box or in the Q&A box. There'll be a number of polls throughout so we can hear what you're excited about, what you need more of, and what you need less of. You can continue to be part of the conversation on social media too, so using the hashtag at Pearson Maths Festival 21. Don't forget to continue nominating your wonderful maths colleagues, maths champions, using hashtag maths champions by tweeting at Pearson Schools and at Maths Emporium. We've had so many incredible nominations come through so far, so please do continue nominating and getting involved. You will shortly hear from Nicola about GCSE Maths, GCSE Statistics, Edexcel Awards and the entry-level certificate, and also Key Stage 3 Maths as the support we have around those areas. And then Mark, it will be followed by Mark Heslop, who will be talking about A-level Maths, further Maths, Statistics, Core Maths, and the Advanced Extension Award. But before we get into some polls, we'd love for you to get to know our subject partners a little bit better. So we'll be starting in true teacher style, 2 truths and a lie. I'm going to hand over to Nicola Woodford-Smith, who's very poker-faced about her 2 truths and a lie. So over to you, Nicola, to talk us through your 2 truths and a lie.
Thank you. So I think on the next screen, let me just see if it's going to move forward. That's the hashtag. That's the hashtag there that Cyrus just mentioned. Okay, so here are my 2 truths and a lie. So option A, I have a City and Guilds level 2 in plastering. Option B, I am a qualified spin instructor. And option C, I used to host televised PGA golf events before teaching. So there's a poll on the screen. Thank you, Jerry. So I'll give you a minute or so to see if you can gauge where my face may have given away.
Do we get to vote as well? Because we don't know the answers to these either.
Oh, it might say panelists can't vote, Mark.
I'm going to try.
No.
Oh, I can't vote.
Oh, I think we'll give it another couple of seconds. Don't know if anyone would know in the team. Maybe.
I don't.
So last few seconds. Be interesting to see what the poll says. I think Jerry's hiding behind and can. Oh, did we have the options? Oh, look at that. So they think that my lie is a qualified spin instructor. Oh, equal on the PGA golf events and the level 2 in plastering. Do you know, I would love to be able to plaster some walls, but I cannot. That is my lie. I do not have a City and Guilds in plastering. Otherwise,
I would have bet that you did.
But I am, believe it or not, a level 3 qualified spin instructor. And yes, I did used to host the big PGA golf tournaments. I'm very excited that the Open started here in Kent yesterday, so I'm a big golf fan. So now, Mark, I think your turn.
Go on, do you want to advance it a slide?
Clicking.
So, right, my three are, oh, you've gone past it. Okay, I can write with both hands and upside down. I was a ball boy at Wimbledon, and I'm so right-eye dominant that basically I don't see in 3D. Over to you to vote, people.
Ooh, we can vote on this one.
That's not fair. I can vote on yours.
I think I know it.
Oh, I can't vote. That's not fair.
Yeah, you can't. You're not allowed.
No.
The
The people at home, as you can tell, we have a bit of a laugh. A few more seconds. Go on then, let's publish the results. Woo! So what do we got? 20% I can write both hands upside down, 36% and 36%. Okay, so it is one of the two most popular. But my lie is I was a ball boy. I was never a ball boy at Wimbledon. And it kind of links into the next one, the last one. I'm so right-eye dominant that basically I only see out this eye and I don't have any 3D depth perception, which basically means it's like Father Ted when he was explaining to Dougal that those cows are far away and large, and this one's small and close too. But it is absolutely true that I can write upside down in both hands. Let's see if this doesn't blank out. So we'll have 3x plus 2y equals 5.
I'm just going to say, writing upside down, I think, is a skill of most teachers when you're walking around and you're trying to correct answers. So yeah,
it makes life so much easier when you can have that. And I'm going to say, not this year, that face-to-face conversation with the students across their work and actually see the reaction in their eyes. But weirdly enough, I can do it with my left hand as well.
Multi-talented.
Some of them are useful, most of them not.
I've just learned loads about you both. Had no idea. Amazing. Right, okay, that's enough from you two for now. We want to hear from you guys as teachers. First poll coming your way. What is your favorite resource we have provided you with?
While you're doing that, we've just had a comment in the chat of Margiotta. So can we do it? Can I do it left-handed? So yeah, I'll do it left-handed as well. So let's go 3x plus 2y equals 5. There you go, left-handed.
Just so talented in so many ways, Mark. I have no words. Just a comment, if your favorite resource is not mentioned in this poll, in the options, please do mention it in the group chat or drop us a message. But we definitely want to hear what your favorite resource is if you've selected that one. It seems like the theme papers are coming out quite strong. All right, I'm going to give it about 10 more seconds. Someone's asking, where exactly can I access these resources? There'll be lots of links being put into the chat box really soon, but have a rummage on the Maths Emporium and you'll be able to find lots of these links. Right, I'm going to end this poll. Jerry, can you share the results, please? Awesome. Theme papers have definitely come out as a favorite, but followed by a really close second with shadow papers, and mock sets are also not far behind. Oh, someone said I like the aiming for grade 4 papers in the group chats. Thank you for that. Brilliant. Right, we're moving on to poll number 2. Poll number 2. What is your biggest need in terms of support for the next academic year? Is it diagnostic tests, targeted schemes of work, professional development courses, in which case tell us what kind of courses you're interested in, bring back exams. I'm definitely with you on that one. And if it's not mentioned in here, please do, again, let us know in the chat box. So we're making sure we've got your feedback and we can do something there for you. Diagnostic tests, it seems like it's coming up as a favourite. Bring back exams.
We've got a comment in the chat, Sarah, saying, is this for GCSE maths as well? Yeah, by all means, put us in there what you need on that one.
Absolutely.
And we've got a comment about where exactly can I access those resources. We'll do a little bit of a few shots of the Emporium. So if you're not a member of the Emporium, just sign up with a centre email address and your centre number and we'll let you through.
Thanks, Mark. Someone said, I think all of the first 3, but I was to choose only one. No problem. That's absolutely fine. It's good to know. So diagnostic tests, bring back exams. We're going to park that one because we're all in agreement with you there. But diagnostic tests is definitely a firm fave. Right, brilliant. Can we share the results, please, Jerry? Thank you. Jerry's our amazing host in the background who's doing all the master brains. So I'm not talking an imaginary person here. Right, brilliant, amazing. Thank you so much. That's really useful feedback for us as a team. I'm going to now pass on to Nicola, who's going to talk you through lots of our Key Stage 3 GCSE maths and stats and some other qualification support.
Thanks, I was just checking I could click away myself. So thank you. We're going to go through, as the title says, a kind of 360 kind of view on everything that we have from Key Stage 3 and GCSE, and Mark will talk to you about some A-level and obviously equivalent level 2 and level 3 courses. So first of all, I wanted to share with you the new resource that we recently shared, I think maybe a month ago now, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, where we just felt as a teaching community and students actually, that there's going to be a bit of a focus on requirements at Key Stage 3. As Sarah said in the introduction, Mark and I recently left the classroom, and as recent as Christmas. So we both have classes that are still in school, and I was thinking about my year 7s and my year 8s, where the majority of their secondary maths or secondary education full stop has been remote. And I just thought, there are so many things in the cupboards and drawers and departments that can help these students get hands-on with their learning as soon as they're able to get back into the classroom. So along with one of our credible specialists, Kate Williams, we put together this interactive PDF just to zone in on key objectives or key skills at each term for each of those 3 Key Stage 3 year groups. We decided to separate year 9 out kind of separately in its own PDF because we thought that they may be that, you know, they may have started their Key Stage 4 journey, as some schools and centres have 3-year Key Stage 4 or 2-year Key Stage 4. And also we wanted to make it feel a little bit more grown up as they're in year 9. So here's a little kind of screenshot for you on what the PDF document looks like. Each term has its own starters, manipulative ideas, the key objectives, as we've said, and you can see them in a smaller version on the whiteboard in that image, and then a mastery and support option. If I just show you the year 9 one, hopefully it'll click through. Here we go. So as we've tried to come up with something a little bit more grown up rather than a classroom, and went for a notice board idea, but you can see the same concept sits. So there are starters, the manipulatives, the mastery, and the key objectives. So just to show you, as you click on one of those, for the, let's say for the year 7 or year 8, I picked a couple of them from across, so they're not all exactly the same, but when you click on objectives, it takes you into a bigger screen, like you can see on the left here, year 7 term 3, so those key 6 objectives or so. When you click on the mastery or the support, you can see that if students feel that they have, you know, mastered the initial skills, they can have a look at what they can do next to build upon their skills even further. Intervention, I'll talk to you about that in a second. And the starter ideas, you can have a look at on the right hand side. You can see little ideas, things that are out there that you may not have come across that we would recommend might be good supportive starters. As I said about the intervention, coming soon for the next academic year in September, Kate's currently building some escape rooms, and I'll show you kind of a little image that we've got for there. But here's the supporting element of those manipulatives, getting hands-on. We were really passionate about having students learn physically through their mathematics after having such a kind of long period of time via a screen. So all sorts of things, be it masking tape, or Kate was talking about pill boxes that you can dice into, or little Polly Pockets, and all sorts of fantastic ideas. And we actually ran 2 network sessions just to go through some of these ideas, which the recording is available on the YouTube playlist. We'll pop a link in the chat so you can access that playlist and have a look back at your own leisure. But as I mentioned, the escape rooms, they'll allow students to demonstrate their skills or their mastery of those key objectives at each term via an escape room. So these are coming out in the new term. Obviously, there's no point having them now. The students haven't, attempted those skills yet. And these escape rooms will allow the students to interact with the skills. They'll be answering questions, and they need to escape that room by answering the questions correctly to get into the next one. And where they get stuck is where the teacher will be able to identify if or where any intervention is needed. So we're really excited about the escape rooms, and I'm sure we can add more advanced elements and kind of spread them across other key stages as well. So that's a little whistle-stop tour of the Key Stage 3 resources that we've got in place. So here's a poll for you. I just would love for you to tell me how useful you think that this resource will be useful for your year 7 and 8s or your year 9 classes. So I think Jerry's going to pop that poll up for you, and we'll just give you a minute to tell me how useful you think that is. Again, please do use the chat if you can think of anything else that we can add on to that resource, or something that we've not thought of that you think will, we could maybe put our heads together and come up with on your behalf. So is it useful? Are you not really finding it that useful? You're going to do something else. So just a few more seconds.
Drum roll for the results.
No, I think Judith has just asked about access. Yes, they are on the main quals page as well, which I believe they're not padlocked, so people have access to those as well. So Jerry, let's see how well. Thank you, everybody. That's good. That's nice to see that it's really useful. And actually, the idea as well is we also had in mind the parents and the students. So even if it's something that you don't find you're going to be using it directly as part of your planning and preparation, it may be something that you want to signpost on your website to help parents see what the key objectives are for their children as they go through the next year. We just felt that students might feel a bit of an element of fear, and they've got catching up to do. And actually we thought, well, let's just reassure them and say, well, if you're making good progress on these few objectives each term, then you're on track and you're making good progress. So
there's just a comment in the chat about, is the escape room something that has to be done in school? Can pupils log onto a platform to do this at home?
Yeah, so we're building it via Desmos, so it will be able to be used online at home. So I would presume that teachers could set it for homework, they could set it as part of an IT lesson. It's entirely up to the teacher on how they would want to do it, but no, it's a digital one that they can do via any platform. You're welcome, Jill. Nice little smiley face at the end of that as well. Thank you. Right, so Key Stage 3 then takes us nicely onto the GCSE Maths. Lovely little stars. We're very excited to confirm that the mock set 7 is coming. It's under production. So we promised our customers that we would produce a mock set of papers every year. So set 7 is coming. This is a real whistle-stop tour around everything, but the support you can see listed here, the majority of these things are on the Maths Emporium, but also you can find them on the qualifications page. Not all of them, because we like to, we don't want to have too much on that qualifications page, and the resource bank on the Emporium suits that purpose. But there are posters which I think you can see just kind of, you can link on them from this interactive PDF, but the posters are, there's a variety of posters, but the content and key information and higher and foundation overlap topics, and they're all on the main qualification page as well, if you want to find those. We have 1 year, 2 year, 3 year and 5 year schemes of work, and that interactive 5 year scheme of work has been really useful. I've definitely used that in the past, and it's a great progressive scheme of work to have when you're discussing flight paths. We all like a flight path in teaching, but when you're discussing that with parents, so I used to find that the interactive scheme of work was really good for that. We had some questions about the baseline tests the other day. So there are some baseline tests that people have commented that they use in terms of setting once the students come into Key Stage 4, and there's so much on the new content support. So there are, as I mentioned in the posters, you can also find documents that show you which content has come from the higher into the foundation or new to the foundation or actually been omitted. As Sarah mentioned earlier in the poll, which obviously was quite popular, we have the themed papers and topic tests, which you can find in the Emporium. They are under practice papers and they have their own little cabinet. So I found those really useful to concrete understanding at particular themes. So if I wanted to just assess my students, not in terms of grades, but just a percentage of success, I would use the themed papers on, I don't know, it could be solving inequalities or something like that. The specimen papers have been there for a while now and are ever popular shadow papers, which many centres talk to us about how valuable they find them as mock service papers that they offer in-house. There's a lot of reporting issues to us from people that have released, November 20 papers or what should be padlocked papers, and you can find them on, or they're worried that students will be able to access the solutions on YouTube or other websites. And of course, we act on those as soon as we're notified. But the shadow papers are locked under the Emporium where students can't gain access. So if you're not aware, the shadow papers literally are a shadow of past papers where the numbers are changed. So the students can't memorize the mark schemes and that sort of stuff. So the shadow papers are very popular. And again, they have their own cabinet under practice papers on the Emporium. Along with the problem solving questions, and I think Mark's going to talk about the A-level bronze, silver, gold and platinum papers that they've been working on in the A-level team, but we have those in the GCSE side, and the bronze, silver, gold just allow for more scaffolding. So I used to use them as differentiated carousel lessons. So I would have my bronze students where they needed more scaffolding. So those kind of 5 or 6 mark questions where they needed just some leading parts. Part A, can you do this? Part B, can you do this? Rather than throwing them in. And the scaffolding is removed as you go up we call them the Olympic papers, so the silver medal and then the gold ones. The interactive PDF that you can see on the screen there is an interactive PDF, and you can click on all of those and it takes you to all of those support resources that I've mentioned before. So here is the homepage of the Emporium. We've got a blue cabinet for the summer 2021. We just wanted to put all of those resources that were released for the tag process in a highlighted kind of cabinet, so it's really clear and obvious. But you can see that there's the EdXL Awards cabinet, the entry-level certificate cabinet, the GCSE Maths, GCSE Stats. They all have their own cabinets. Right at the bottom in the centre is the Key Stage 3 Maths cabinet, which is where you can find those interactive PDFs that I spoke about earlier. So this is, when you click on the GCSE, just go back one. Just waiting for it to go back. There we go. So it keeps jumping back to those posters. I don't know why it's going. But the Emporium cabinets for the GCSE specific, you can see that there are about 7 or 8 cabinets actually. I think it's moving on its own. Quite know why it's moving on its own, if anyone can move it back. But there are about 8 cabinets under the GCSE, so you'll find the specification, you'll find the specification papers and practice papers, even down to content or the past papers if you want to find those as well. So as in a whistle-top flash, you saw the revised posters. These are really invaluable to our centres. Great as well if you want to signpost them and add them to your websites for students to download and have them at home. I know that some of my students used to have, there they are, thank you. They used to have them on their phone, so they would download them from our school website on our maths page, and they would just have them on their phone so they could open them in class as and when I allowed them to, so they could see what formulas it was they needed to use that lesson. Hopefully this is, don't think I'm going to see if I can have, or Syra, if you can just click on to the next slide for me, please. Thank you. One of the things that we found super popular, especially going through the tag process, was the standardisation and mark scheme training, where we have our chair of examiners, she talked about how to apply the mark schemes. We also used our credible specialists, Chris and Mel from Just Maths, and they did a fantastic session on applying the mark scheme, and there was some great standardisation work. It was like being in a real departmental meeting where they gave the opportunities throughout that network to look at the question, mark it, and then everybody had the chance to come together and discuss where the marks would be awarded, etc. So that was a really powerful session, and I definitely think it's something we will look at doing in the future. If that's something you're interested in and would like us to do, for, you know, November 21 or June 2022, fingers crossed if that all happens as normal. I think it's important, if that's what is valuable to you and your departments, we're more than happy to put those together. There are some links there that you can see, the November 2020 exemplars. They're really important packs, along with the standardisation pack, really important packs to help with that professional development as you sit together. And I know sometimes, well, virtually at the moment, you can't sit together necessarily, but you can do that marking at home and then use the standardisation pack to help come together and discuss where you would award the marks. So I'm nearly there. The last thing from me about GCSE statistics and the other level 2 qualifications. So GCSE statistics, Mark has been doing some fantastic support with centres on GCSE stats. The one misconception I think we hear a lot of the time, and Mark might nod and agree, that people still think that there is an element of a controlled assessment with the statistics, and they think that, you know, that's going to be quite kind of laboursome. We'll remember marking the coursework, but the statistical inquiry element is now embedded in the exam. So we like to just correct people's thoughts on how they don't have to spend all of that time doing coursework or controlled assessments.
Can I just throw in one there that's come out from the training? It's been interesting talking to centres, and you know, traditionally people used to think that GCSE stats was for high attaining students, and you know, with the revision of the specification, I definitely don't think that's the case. You know, we've got certainly a high level qualification and a foundation level qualification, but actually the interesting one, if you've never looked at the course before, because the emphasis is on statistics rather than algebra, I think you'll probably find if you've got good foundation tier students that only struggle to do higher tier maths because of their algebra, they will find the higher tier statistics perfectly accessible and an engaging qualification. And it's a real confidence boost to them because, you know, they feel like they're accessing a high level qualification. It counts into the bucket 3, which I hate that word, bucket, but hey ho, but it also gives them access to, you know, a higher tier maths grade that they can hang their hat on, and it helps practice and reinforce a lot of the skills that are in the GCSE maths qual. So if you haven't seen it, take a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And I definitely would not have thought that as a school leader and a head of maths previously, I wouldn't have pigeonholed foundation maths students into foundation statistics. Absolutely not. And I think that the GCSE statistics course allows a lot more context, which some of those foundation maths students kind of enjoy, and they understand better. It's not as abstract. So definitely agree with that. The EdXL Awards are just an absolute favourite of mine. I've used them from year 7 all the way through to year 11, year 12. You could use them at year 13, there's no stopping you, but they go from level 1, they make sure you can focus just on modules. You can do just number and measure. You can do algebra. The statistical methods, I think, are just on their way out, which Sarah might nod and say yes, which is yes, because we've got the GCSE statistics. So Mark and I just think that GCSEs, you don't need a statistical methods qualification when you've got a GCSE statistics qualification. So the number and measure is fantastic. You can use it for your gifted and talented students right from year 7, as I said, or you can use them to help bridge your kind of key stage 4 students or your lower ability students. And like Mark says, give them that confidence boost as they're attempting those level 1 and level 2 questions. The entry level certificate, as it says there, is really popular. It's easy to teach alongside, so it's a great one to do if you're doing a key stage 4 3-year program. It's a great one to add on at year 9 or year 10 to build that confidence and to stretch and challenge. So absolutely. So just before we finish, I've got a last poll to add in for everything I've just spoken about. I just want to add in, just as you're thinking, that we're developing our post-16 mastery scheme of work at the moment, and there's a lot of work going on to a targeted scheme of work and curriculum model at post-16, which is underway at the moment. But which out of those do you think is something that you're most looking forward to receiving? Are you looking forward to the new mock set 7 or the new Olympic papers? Which of those is going to be predominant in your searches as you enter 21-22? Thanks, Jerry, for adding them in. We'll give a few more seconds. Okay, thanks, Jerry. Let's see which is the winner. See, I gave it a really quick plug at the end and it is a winner. Do you know, I'm with you. All of those of you that voted for that post-16 mastery scheme of work, it is something that is just from the research and the talk, that's been happening around it already. It's something that has the potential to really make a difference to those students that need the support at post-16. So thank you, everybody. Yeah, definite important work that's happening there. Hopefully we can release something as soon as we get back in September and kind of release some support out to you quickly. But Mark,
thank you, Sarah. I'm just going to request control, so hopefully that should come through to you in a second, and we'll super. I think that's come through, so I have the power. So right. A lot of the stuff that we're getting asked about at the moment is kind of supporting students moving forward as they go on to year 12 maths and obviously other qualifications. But it's, one of the teachers that I was talking to this week was commenting that they're really struggling with students coming into them in September with potentially grades that don't reflect their ability. It was their experience from last year. And it's a case of how do we actually cope with that. I'm just going to post something into the chat that hopefully will come through as a link. There we go. In theory, that should come through as a link. If it doesn't, I'll try again in a little while. So we've got the baseline test on the Maths Emporium for effectively coming into A-level maths. But what a resource that we developed last year was transition to A-level maths resources. So this is effectively from the textbook matching all the topics that dovetail into GCSE and then get taken further. It's basically little videos doing worked examples of each of those topics, and then a collection of questions for students to practice on. So you can use this with your students, set them as summer work before they come onto your course, or you can use this as kind of intervention work when they come in September to just target those skills a little bit better. Make sure that they've got those firm foundations from GCSE. There is a lot of material on there for you to use. There is a link at the bottom of the page here. There's, like it says, there's 120 free videos and even more worksheets to focus on those key skills from GCSE that we then just build on. So I'm just going to scroll forward a little bit. Hopefully it'll. Okay, so a new one that's come out this year that you may not have seen, and it's a format that we're playing with, is effectively interactive exemplars of student responses from the 2020 series. It seems to have gone down very well with people. If you haven't seen it, follow the link that's in the chat. So effectively, you download a zip file. What I would say is you do need to extract the zip file. You cannot run it from the zip file. You get an error. So you extract the zip file, click on the main link, and it'll open up as a web page and give you fast and easy access to the student responses, the examiner comments, the questions itself. So if you click on these things, let's see if that's going to work for me. Okay, and then we click on again, and it'll effectively pop up a student response. And there's usually 2 or 3 responses with comments from the examiner, specifically why this student got this mark, why this student didn't get that mark. It's very worthwhile looking at this in line with your results plus data from previous series to see are there any holes in kind of the teacher knowledge. Are there, you can compare in results plus your cohort with the national cohort and see how they performed in those kind of questions. So can you just type into the chat if you've seen this at all? It'd be interesting for us to know whether the messaging on this is getting out there. There's always the classic PDF to download, but that's by and large 100 and odd page. Is it available for the GCSE too? Not at the moment. This is one that we've just trialed on A-level maths this year, but if it's proving popular and people really like it, then we'll look at potentially rolling it out onto other formats. So scroll forwards. It seems to need to do a double click. And there's just another example, so you can click on the performance data as well and zoom in on that and see how what an average grade A star candidate got on that one. So it seems to be going a little bit strange on me, sorry, in terms of jumping around a little bit. So I'm just going to I'm going to go back a little bit. It skipped a couple of slides on me. Let's go backwards. Sorry, I'm going to give up control and ask you to move these through manually for me. So if you could just go back a slide for me, Sarah. There we go. Doesn't seem to like us controlling each other's PowerPoints.
No, it really doesn't today. It could be my internet.
And you're in the office.
I know, right? Just bear with me to see if it can fast forward. Right, I'm just gonna.
Would you like me to just share it from my end?
Yes, if that's all right, if you don't mind.
That's fine. I'll run that one now. So 2 seconds from current side. There we go. And I'm just going to share my screen now. Okay. And this should do it. There we go, it's back. So one of the things that we've been, also conscious of is that transition between year 12 and year 13. There's a lot of students who've missed a lot of time. They've maybe had a bit of a dent to their confidence. So what we've put together is, and they're being launched this week for A-level maths, AS level maths this week, pure and applied, and AS level further maths. We're launching new bronze, silver, gold worksheets. So there'll be 3 levels in there of collections of past exam questions from both current and legacy specs. I'll come to the platinum part in a little bit. Now, one thing I think I think people might have missed in the new specification is that all the exams are effectively calculator. And I remember the first year I was teaching it that I had further mathematicians, they were doing A-level maths in year 1 and further maths in year 2, and they were doing it in 6 hours a week. So they were pretty switched on students. But we came to a test at Christmas and they could do very, very complex maths. But when it came to, say, rationalizing surds, rearranging formula, or even manipulating fractions, they were just struggling. These are the kind of kids that can do in year 13 second order differential equations all day long, but they couldn't rationalize a surd anymore. And I think it's worthwhile just focusing on that. Actually, if you look at the papers, there is an awful lot of show that. There is an awful lot of algebraic manipulation. If you have a look at the 2020 papers and you actually look through which questions you can actually use a calculator for, you find it's a good chunk of the paper. So those non-calculator skills that underpin, and I'm not necessarily talking about numerical skills, I'm talking about manipulation, underpin everything else, are as vital as they ever were from the old core one. So for the pure side on A-level maths and the pure core side on further maths, we've effectively pulled these together as non-calculator questions. You can't really do that on the applied side. It doesn't really work, but the pure side, if you want to ease the difficulty slightly, you can actually, let your students use a calculator, but you'll find for the most part that they won't need to on these. But it's worthwhile just stressing that to your teachers in your department that actually we need to be focusing on these. So you can use these as in a number of different ways. So you can use them as transition resources from year 12 into year 13. You can use them as in-year tests, end of topic tests with your students, and you can also use them as revision materials as well. We have gone, absolute very basic from the bronze. We've tried to make sure that each chapter, the spread of topics in each chapter is contained both within the between all three, the bronze, silver, and the gold, and there's no repeat questions. So if you have a student flying through the bronze, you can then send them onto the silver, and there won't be questions that they've come across before. Platinum. Okay, I'll come to platinum in a second. So I think a qualification that's underused is the Advanced Extension Award in mathematics. And it's something that when I was in teaching, you knew of it, but you didn't know what it was for. So the Advanced Extension Award is effectively, it's based on the A-level maths syllabus. It's a 3-hour paper taken at the end of their exams in the summer, and it really does focus on problem-solving skills and concise and clear communication of their solutions. There's even marks in the exam for communication skills. So if they do a concise solution, they get extra marks. So why would you want to do it with a student? Well, actually, it's based on the A-level math syllabus. So it reinforces and gets them to really practice their problem-solving skills, which then pays dividends back into their A-level maths. So what we've actually done on here is at the end of most of the worksheets, we've actually included platinum questions, which are taken from the AEA. And so these are questions that you can use to push on students if you've got students you really want to just get them to practice their high-level skills, or as a nice idea, you can use these as group discussion questions in your lessons. And if you get students that are flying on these ones and really eating them up, then you might want to consider pushing them onto the AEA. There are a couple of, even just a brief search on the internet I found this morning that UCL and King's College London are willing to offer lower entry grades on some qualifications if you've studied an AEA in, say, maths. And the other advantage with the access to script service, that if you've got a student, we don't have step 1 papers anymore where the university's got to see their papers. But if you've got a student who just misses their entry offer, well, after taking the AEA, you can download that script and have a chat with the university and say, look, they've just missed out, but here's a good demonstration of their problem-solving skills. And they've got that little bit of a mathematical flair that you might be looking for to take them further forwards onto a high-level course. There's 7 questions on each paper. It is 3 hours. It is entirely non-calculator, which I really like. It is effectively 50 marks for a merit and 70 marks for a distinction, and it does count for university points. So I'm just going to skip further forwards on this. We've actually set them up with hyperlinks in them to make them easier for you to navigate. So you just click on it. If you're in the Word document, you do need to press Control as you click on these ones, and then you've got platinum questions down at the bottom for to really push your students on. For the year 12, there are it's based on the entire A-level math syllabus and year 12 and 13 syllabus. There are some topics where year 12 content was only within questions that needed year 13 material. So I think there's a couple of the chapters from the year 12 bronze, silver, gold worksheets that don't include them because there wasn't any specific AEA questions for those. But we've got pretty good coverage for the most part. Let's move forwards. There's another example of a platinum question. So calculators may not be used. So a point P lies on the curve. Find the greatest and least possible values of OP, where O is the origin. Lovely little problem-solving questions for you to discuss with your students. They're located on the Emporium, but I think the reason why students would consider taking the AEA is, for that love of maths. I always used to have, the head would come down to me every so often when I was in teaching and say, look, I've had this phone call from a parent, the son's doing this, this, and this. They're really loving maths. Have you got anything else for them to do? And we didn't really know about the AEA at the time. And if I'd known about it, I'd be like, yeah, let's give them some of these papers to practice, really push themselves on. There's no extra study needed. It is just practicing these questions, which pays dividends into their A-level maths. Link to the specification there that you'll get. It's like we say, there's extended solutions on Warwick University website for a lot of the papers if you're after something with a bit more elaboration. And then coming soon that we have in A-level maths. So we've got effectively a new mock set coming out in the autumn term. Early in the autumn term, we're going to be releasing enhanced content guidance on training. So we've pulled in all those little queries for the past couple of years where people are trying to find the edge of the specification. Is it this? Is this an exhaustive list and examples? And the examiners are currently working on effectively producing a more enhanced content elaboration for you. We've got exam marking training. I'm going to pop a note into the chat in a second with a link to the video that's available on our website. And if you just give me 2 seconds on that one, I'll post that in. Here it comes. So this is where, before the summer, we produced a exam marking training video, and we're going to do a live session on that that's a little bit more interactive. And before I hand back, what we'd like to hear from you is that we've got a survey that's going out in the Emporium email next week, where we've effectively got asking you about, we've got our training sessions for the autumn term. Is there anything else you think that we're missing? How do you feel about face-to-face networks? What do you value about them? And also about, in the past, we've run maths conferences in the spring term. It would be useful to know what your thoughts are on that one going forwards into the future. So I shall hand back now. Sarah, do you want to share your screen back again, or do you want me to just continue with this?
You can continue with it. My internet's not been great, so I'm going to leave that with you, Mark. Thank you. If that's all right.
Yep.
Fab. Awesome. Well, that was the quickest whistle-stop tour of our support you've probably ever seen. And if you've managed to keep up with all those links, you are amazing. But fingers crossed, we can get you all those links and the presentation emailed to you, so you don't have to worry about saving them. Very, very quickly, we have recently launched our Diversity in Maths mathematician posters recently, and they're great posters to start discussions with your classrooms and embed diversity in maths in the curriculum and in the classroom. So please do have a look at those. A link is in the group chat. So if you want to have a browse, please do. Over the coming months, we'll be doing lots more activity around how to embed diversity in maths in the classroom and providing some tangible strategies on how you can do this. So it will be great to hear your thoughts around how you already do this. So please do comment in the chat box if you've got, share your stories with us. I'm going to move on to the next slide, Mark. Mm-hmm. This is our wonderful team of our maths experts, followed by our maths team. If you just go to the next slide as well, Mark. This is our maths team, whom of which I'm sure you've met over the last 2 weeks, because many of them have ran so many incredible sessions. And the team worked tirelessly to provide support for you, to help you with teaching and learning. But if there's anything we have missed, please make sure you let us know. So let us know in the chat box if there's anything we've missed, or drop it in our feedback survey so we can make sure we've captured all your thoughts. I hope you have found today's session informative, and it's been an opportunity for you to give us some feedback about all the support we offer. Thank you all for joining me, Nick, Mark, today. You will see a feedback survey open in your browser when this session ends, and it would be fantastic if you could take a couple of minutes to share your thoughts with us. Don't forget to join the conversation on social media and beyond using the hashtag Pearson Maths Fest 21. Don't forget to continue nominating your maths champions at Pearson Schools and at Emporium Maths using hashtag Maths Champions. And lastly, I'm just going to remind you of our finale session tomorrow with Nicola and Bobby Siegel. They'll be talking about maths in the media, which includes Love Island, and it's most definitely not one to miss. So hopefully I'm going to see you there tomorrow. I hope you all have a lovely evening. I hope you've enjoyed today's session, and big thank you for attending today. Bye, everyone.